You're listening to A Creative Excuse presented by Echo Mano. I'm Frank Rose.
And I'm Cara Duvall. This episode is with Kate Wood, whose exhibition opens this Friday, April 3rd, from 5 to 7 p.m. The following day, join us for coffee and donuts, live music with sirens, and artist talks with Kate and Haley Greenfeather English from 12 to 1:30.
In this episode, we talk to Kate about how a decade of serious illness, a daily drawing practice, and a cast of faceless dog-like characters gave her a language for exploring the things she couldn't otherwise touch, vulnerability, intimacy, and what it means to keep making work when your body keeps stopping you.
We'd love for you to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform, or even leave a review. It really helps.
Thanks for listening.
And we'd have to yell out which way we were going to go.
Wow.
I'd be like, turn left, go straight.
Uh-huh.
Stay on the sidewalk.
Uh-huh.
It's fun.
How did you know whose turn it was to yell?
That's a good question. Frankly, mostly took over.
It's like Calvin Ball.
Calvin Ball?
Did you ever read Calvin and Hobbes?
No, I did not.
You didn't?
I did not. No, I didn't. No. No.
You did,
What?
clearly.
Oh, yeah.
You did.
No.
Do you remember Calvin Ball?
No.
What? This is already a great conversation. What are we talking about?
We're talking about Calvin Ball. What? Oh, tell me about Calvin Ball.
Calvin Ball is, I think Calvin's probably 6. And that's not important. It's a sport that he and his tiger have made up.
Yeah.
And the rules are made up as you play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's this kind of moment by moment game.
Mm-hmm.
But you can score points and you can win and you can lose. But I feel like being an adult is Calvin Ball.
And
in real time.
Okay. And so they didn't actually know who, were they just shouting out rules?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you're like,
I got 5 points.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Like I touched the tree, I got 5 points.
Yeah.
Like you looked at me, you lose
Yeah.
5 points.
Yeah.
You both lose 5
I
points.
get that. Yeah. I played this game with my father that we made up when he would drive me to my piano lesson, which was like a 45-hour long drive.
Yes.
Which I'm like, thank you, Papa, for doing that. But
45 hours.
Where did
45 hours.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Houston, and yeah, and I feel like I'm making this up, but I feel like my piano lesson was like out by Pasadena, which is like a sad place, but it's far from where we lived. And anyways, we played this game while we drove called
Ready for it.
I'm Smarter Than You.
Oh, yes. Good. Very good.
And the rules of the game were you would have to ask the other person a question. Mm-hmm. And it could be any question. Mm-hmm. It could be like, what did I eat for lunch? Mm-hmm. And if the other person didn't answer correctly, then you go, I'm smarter than you. And it would just go back and forth.
Do you remember any questions?
I mean, actually, weirdly, one that sticks out is my dad asked me, I was 6, I think.
Uh-huh.
My dad asked me to spell banana.
Oof,
and
I don't know if I can do it.
I think I spelled it correctly. And so then my dad was like, I'm smarter than you. I'm smarter than you.
Wow.
He is 6 years old.
Dang.
I know. But I would ask him really only questions that I would know the answer to. Like, what did I eat for lunch?
Yeah.
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 You wouldn't know that. Because or like, what did I just think?
Yeah. Did you ever play Taboo? Did you ever play that game?
I think we played it maybe a couple of times. We had a few board games.
It had a really obnoxious buzzer where if someone did something incorrect, you could, you could interrupt them with this terrible buzzer.
Yeah.
And my wish for having a buzzer just like in normal conversation.
You could just carry one with you.
You could. You could just do that for this podcast. If we're asking you something and you're like, no.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. You're
Well.
welcome.
You're welcome.
We are welcome.
We're all welcome.
Here.
Kate has a show coming up, and I don't
Where's
know.
that show?
Kate, where's that show?
I don't know if you've heard of it. It's the best gallery in Santa Fe.
Oh, is that
Is that what it's called?
Capital T. My show is at Echo Amano.
And it's currently not on the wall yet, but it will be soon.
Mm-hmm. It's on a table
It's on a table
in a box.
in a box. And so you are in that state of you've worked a lot on this show and you have finished the work. It's been framed. It's about to go on the wall. Your job is pretty much done with this show. I mean, you have to show up to a couple things, but how has this process been? Where are you at? What's happening?
My heart is beating really fast, like as you go through that list of all the things. I'm like, whoa, really? Like, okay, wow, I did all of that. I'm in a better place than I was. It was this very narrow focus of making these pieces, making them well, with a deadline. And the deadline is not the deadline, right? I think when I received that contract, I was like, oh, this is wonderful, because the deadline is actually 10 weeks before the deadline. There's all this backwards calculus of work has to be done, work has to be photographed, all of which I didn't know. So I think I thought I had maybe a month more. And it was great to learn I didn't, because, it was time to work. So it was a lot of work, and I did it. But I think completing it, I kind of went off the rails a little bit. I didn't hurt anybody. I wasn't dangerous, but
Swinging knives around.
well, I stepped out of this. Like, I was a full-time artist for probably 7 weeks, and it was really magical. And while I was doing it, it was, I think I felt the pressure of outside life. I felt like there are things I should be doing. There are things that are waiting for me. But as soon as I completed the work, I had this sort of backward glance of like, can I go back to that? That was really nice. Only having to make images was really special. And then, trying to land that plane smoothly didn't really happen. It was sort of this postpartum experience of like, wait, where am I? What am I? All of this work I just put everything into. I actually couldn't even look at it because I completed it and it immediately had to go to the framers. So it was also like this context of all of this work I was doing was gone in the moment that all the physical work was gone. I think I mistakenly reached out to you in that space of kind of flailing free fall. I don't think it was a mistake to reach out to you, but I think I just needed time. And you said that. You were like, why don't you take a day off? And I said, I have taken a day off. You said, why don't you take a week off? I said, what? So yeah, I think the first 3 weeks of finishing the show was pretty uncomfortable. I'd say that. It was really uncomfortable. I started to voice it, and it was nice to hear from other people, like, no, this is a thing. Completing a body of work and moving past the space of crafting that can be like an uncomfortable or painful transition. That was helpful, but it didn't make it less uncomfortable. And yeah, now feels like a more easeful time where I am done and I can kind of lean into the space of, whoa, I did that. I can see the work. It looks great. I'm so excited about sharing it. So now I'm having more fun.
That's good.
I was in a previous life, I was in theater, and there's the common phenomenon that after you complete a show, a lot of people get sick. They just crash hard, and there's this things like I'm going, doing, and this rhythm of creating. And everything, yeah, like you said, gets so narrow and focused. Your life gets so narrow of what your day to day looks like. And then that stops. And it's almost like crashing into a wall.
Yes, yeah.
And not knowing what to do with oneself after that. Yeah.
Frank knows this, but I had a list of to-dos that was just like, just not fun stuff. I think I should have planned a vacation or something immediately afterwards. But yeah, I didn't get sick. Or maybe I did get sick. I may have actually gotten sick. That may have happened.
Really?
Yeah.
You're just like, is this allergies? What is this?
Yeah.
What is this malaise that has just descended upon me?
We may have had RSV, like
God.
in the, that happened. Yeah, I got sick.
Yeah. I love it too. I don't know if this happens to you, but this is something I experience while in the midst of creating something, or even after it. Random tasks will come up. Like, I really need to dust the kitty litter bowl. I really need to do that right now, or that like little clump of something. I need to take care of that right now.
Do you do it, or do you recognize what you're doing when you have that impulse?
No, I start to do it. And
Yeah.
then Frank actually, he comes and he pets me, and he sometimes he moves me away from the activity. Sometimes he just brings awareness.
What are you supposed to be doing?
I bring a cat in front of you. You're like, look at this cat.
I was writing yesterday, and I can get like really like energetically activated by writing, and I'll feel that, and then I will do something. Like, I'll do something impulsive. I'll stand up and move away from that task, and I got all the way to the trash can. I'd taken the top off the trash can. I'm tying the trash bag before I was like, what am I, like, I'm doing it. I'm doing I'm doing the thing of like, I should really eat an orange. I should probably see if my dad has texted me,
Yeah.
I got all the way to taking the trash out of the can before I caught myself in the moment of diversion or distraction.
Yeah.
It's real.
It's real.
I did take out the trash.
Mm-hmm.
Well, complete stuff.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's and low investment. It was all like 4 minutes.
I was talking with a friend the other day about these impulsive, compulsive tendencies that happen in the creative process, and how they can be this form of unconscious ritual that we're doing, and that it's like, I have to do this so that then I can focus.
Yes.
And to then shift it to like a conscious ritual making, of like, this is, because I feel like most artists do have some kind of ritual that they do to prepare themselves. I'm wondering for yourself, but maybe taking out the trash, eating the orange, texting the dad. That's like all the ritual.
I think I now, like, it's something I can name, like with writing, I can name that, like, I do have this sort of like energetic surge, and I actually have to get up and move around. In college, it was true too that I would, I always had like a tennis ball on hand, so I'd be writing, and I would just start bouncing the ball, and my dear roommate, she'd like come bursting through the bathroom that connected our two rooms. She'd be like, you must stop bouncing that ball. But that kind of thing, right? Like
Yeah.
sort of I think almost always movement-based, a movement-based ritual that is kind of a channeling of a certain energy or impulse. I don't know if I have like a go-to right now. I can clean a lot, you know? I'm like, that bottle of paint should be next to the blue and not next to the red, you know? I can do that kind of thing. I don't know, though. I think what comes up for me around that is that I didn't have a creative practice, like a sit-down creative practice for 5 or 6 years, which started with COVID. So in a big way, the past 2 years have been a coming back to creative practice. So maybe I'm going to find a new ritual distraction. Or maybe I just haven't noticed it yet. I'll pay attention to that.
Well, that's an interesting place to dive in.
Yeah.
So maybe we go back in time.
You guys.
So you grew up in Albuquerque.
I did.
Were your parents artists, or did they have any kind of creative outlets?
Yeah. Well, not artists, but both my parents are very musical.
That's artists.
Yeah, for sure. And so music was always a part of our home, both instruments and listening to a lot of music. And lessons were something that were given to my brother and I starting from a young age. So just having creative outlets was always there. My dad has visual inclinations creatively. He's done work in clay and likes to sit down and draw, but I would say music more than the visual arts.
What instrument did you get plunked in front of?
The piano. We both started on the piano. My parents still have it, a very beautiful piano that was my mom's dad's. She is a pianist and almost went to conservatory, so played very seriously. And I think as a starting point, piano is it's a great place to begin. We both branched off, my brother and I, but we started there.
Do you still play anything?
I sing a lot.
Uh-huh.
When my son lets me sing, I get a lot of, Mama, don't sing.
Oh.
It's hard, Kara. It's so hard. Sometimes I come back with I'm going to find a family who lets me sing in the car. It's not skillful to say that, but he knows it's a joke. I sing a lot, and there are instruments in our home. When I was 12, I transitioned to playing the harp, which is a really neat jump to make from playing the piano, because if you think about actually the shape of a baby grand,
it's pretty similar.
I'm holding up my hand, but it's the same shape as a harp standing upright. Take off all the wood and you're just actually playing the strings, and that's what a harp is, and it's all the same music.
And the piano, in a sense, it's the same thing, but plucking instead of hammers.
Yeah.
More like a harpsichord.
Yes.
Harp.
Harpsichord. You got it.
Yeah.
So I played the etymology.
Yeah.
Not entomology.
No, that's bugs.
That's bugs. Yeah.
You might find bugs in a piano.
That's
though.
true.
Yeah.
Depending.
Yeah. Call your local bug guy.
Yeah.
I played the I did play the piano. I played the harp from age 12. The Albuquerque Youth Symphony had a really great scholarship program for piano students, because no kid is walking around saying or few children are walking around saying I want to play the harp, and few families can afford that instrument. So the symphony orchestra offered this scholarship, and if you would get free access to a harp and free harp lessons, but you'd have to be in the orchestra. That was sort of the concession. Maybe not a concession, but I did that, and so I transitioned to the harp, and I have a folk harp now. But a really strange thing happened to me through all of my health stuff is I actually lost the ability to read music, which was always my access point to playing. It's just how I learned, and it went away. I can do a little bit now, but it's sort of an adult task when I'm not busy being so much of a mom, of wanting to take lessons again and see if I can regain that skill of reading music.
Yeah.
So
I want to dig into that a little bit.
Yeah,
But
sorry,
before,
that was a big one.
no, it's fine. I think maybe before we get to that, maybe kind of finish up around like where you got started in visual art interest.
Yeah. Books for me, Kids Lit was, where I first, I think, learned how to see and actually started learning how to see what I like in images. Illustration was, it's always, or it was around in the house I grew up in. I feel lucky to have grown up in a house with a lot of books, but, it's such a unique thing to be able to pull something off a shelf and revisit it again and again and again. And illustration in kids' books remains something that I'm so captivated by. And now I have a kid who I can read to and share books with. But that was definitely, I think, my first art exposure, or something that vibrated on the level of like, wow, this is really special. I'm encountering something really special and magical. Yeah.
And then when did you start making things, whether that be just like drawing for fun, or when did that kind of come around?
Can I share a story?
Of course.
Please do.
This is story time.
Yes, story time. I was probably 6 or 7, and my parents, I don't know, I should ask them. They took us to Disneyland, which is very kind of like out of the scope of the kind of home I grew up in, I guess. It wasn't like a bucket list, like we went to Disneyland. I absolutely hated it. It was, have you been?
Not to Disneyland, but to Disney World I have.
Have you been? Did you like it?
So I went to Disneyland as an 18-year-old on spring break from my freshman year of college.
Freaky.
And no, I did not like it. I did not want to be there. I was also with my half brother, who was 7 years younger than me, and he had a blast. But I was like, this is so bad. I distinctly remember like finding some place in an exhibit outdoors, like in whatever the town thing is, where like you could go and like sit in the grass and there's a bench. And I was reading 12 Years a Slave as one of my history assignments at Disneyland on spring break.
Okay.
It was something.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, so
it's okay.
I
if
went
you
to
loved
Disney World,
different.
and I was 8, maybe.
Okay.
I think I was 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And strangely, I think I did like it, but what I remember the most about Disney World was the drive to Disney. We drove to Disney World from Houston. It was a very long road trip, and my parents just had this one cassette. No, two cassettes that they played over and over again. One was what is his name? It's called Deep Breakfast, and it's like synth music. It's like ambient synth music. That, if anyone out there knows it's a show that's been going on forever called Hearts of Space. They like often play this kind of music there. And then Bolivian flute music. And so we played these 2 tapes over and over and over again. And it was the first time I'd had sleep paralysis.
What is that?
Sleep paralysis is when you're in between waking and dreaming. So you're cognizant of what's happening around, and you're cognizant that you're asleep, but you can't move. Your body is frozen.
Whoa.
And it's very scary. And so I remember being in the car, looking out the window, maybe not being able to move, listening to like Deep Space
on your way to Disney World. This is horrifying. This is very scary.
And my parents talking about something and like trying to talk to them and not being able to say anything. And this is the most vivid memory I have of Disney World. But I think I did like Disney World.
Dang.
But that overshadowed it.
No kidding. Yeah.
So what was your experience?
I hated Disneyland. I don't know if I wasn't enough immersed in the world of Disney to be like, wow, this is a simulation. Like, I get to be in these movies. Like, we watch some Disney, but I don't know. I think I had this, like, I knew how made up it was. You know, and I knew I was supposed to like it. And I think even at age 6, I had this aversion to like, I'm supposed to be into this. I'm not going to be into it. Space Mountain, like, absolutely just devastated me. It was so awful. I wanted to die. I did like Pirates of the Caribbean. I think mostly because there's a boat and you get to be on a boat. So there's like a reference to the natural world, right? Anyway, that same trip bypassed Disneyland. My parents took us to the La Brea tar pits. Do you know about this?
I've
You were
heard of
just
it.
in LA.
I've heard of it, but tell me.
Unbelievable. The La Brea tar pits, it's an active, I'm going to say this wrong, paleontological.
Sounds good.
Sounds good? Sounds smart. Active paleontological site. So for 10,000 years, tar, like naturally occurring oil, has been seeping out of the earth and preserving any number of things, right? Wow. And the museum is, you know, the pits are there, but they have all of these incredible preserved bones and skeletons of like mastodons and saber-toothed cats. And it's in, you know, urban LA. It's just incredible. So we also did that on this Disneyland trip, and it just blew my mind. It was so cool. There are dioramas, there are animations, and I was really captivated by, I think it was an animation, but it's of a saber-toothed cat, you know, dying this horrible death, like it's trying to get out of this tar pit and it's being subsumed by, you know, it's really intense.
Wow. And you're 6?
And I'm 6, and I'm just like, this is so real, you know, compared to the Disneyland thing of like, this is it. And I go home and I make a painting and I sit down and it, you know, it's black and white and it's of the saber-toothed cat, and like all of the body parts of the cat like hot dog buns, you know, like these are the shapes I'm capable of making. So like body, hot dog bun, legs, hot dog bun, fangs, hot dog bun, you know, it's just this blob standing in a nondescript like puddle of black paint, which is the tar pit. And I can remember making that painting. And I remember making the painting and being able to access like the thrill of this very graphic animation. So the experience of the tar pits was with me in my home in Albuquerque as I'm making this painting. And I feel amazing while making this painting. I finished the painting. I'm like, this is so good. This looks exactly like the thing I experienced. It doesn't. I still have it. It's
that's amazing.
Link in the show note if you want to see it. It's so sweet. But
so sweet for such a dark and macabre subject matter.
I think I still have some of that in me. But that's the first kind of memory of making something that I have. And I think there's a very earnest, honest through line to like what I'm trying to do now in making things, just trying to integrate and make sense of the things I experience. But yeah, I started drawing really young, and always words and pictures though. Like always writing and images.
Yeah, I was curious about the writing.
Yeah.
Where that came in.
Also, age 6, I had a really magical first and second grade teacher who is an author, Shelley Moore Thompson, I think. Shelley Moore Thomas. Ooh, sorry. But she just had an amazing classroom where she had us memorizing poetry. She had us doing really cool little plays with stories that she had us memorize. And then the really big thing for me was she had us make books. And, you know, the covers were cardstock and the folios were bound with staples. The really cool thing was she went to like an upholstery store or something like that and got like the back stock samples. So these books of fabric samples, and we got to pick out the covers for our books. And then we got to fill our books with our stuff, which was, I mean, like truly magical for me. I grew up loving books, and then here's someone who's like, you can make one. And sign of a great teacher, you know, I think we all got to make one or two, but I wanted to make like 10. And Shelley was like, I will meet you there. We're going to make 10 books. And I wrote these poems. They're like really freaky poems. You know, there's like stuff about God and nature and the universe. And this isn't stuff I was fed, or I didn't grow up going to church or anything like that. So writing, I think, was just there. And I was really fortunate to have a teacher who was like, do more of this, like go this way. She even, you know, told my parents, like, look out. You've got someone here. Knock, knock. It's me.
And then when did you find it sort of becoming something more akin to practice? Like, even if it was just like, you know, you're in high school and I'm drawing every day, or not necessarily like I'm going to be an artist, I'm going to sit down and make work, you know, but when did you find it kind of starting to kind of look like that?
I think late middle school. I started keeping journals really intensely in middle school. And then got really into painting. And I don't remember where that started. That's funny. But yeah, I think late middle school and then into high school, it started becoming a practice. I had a really hard time in high school, I think, like everybody, but I just, you know, I was definitely an arty kid. And just the way you are expected to learn just didn't, like, it wasn't engaging for me. I was kind of this polar student where I would excel in these certain subjects, and then math was just so rough for me, and I had terrible, you know, I had teachers who couldn't figure out how to unlock the math or the science in me. It's all there, but, you know, not in the way that I was supposed to show up. And I was ready to quit. I wanted to leave and get a GED, and I went to my college, or high school counselor, and told her, I said, Wendy May, like, I can't do it. I want to be done. And she'd gotten a pamphlet that day for a humanities-based arts program in California for high school students. She was like, well, what about this? Like, can we keep you if you're allowed to go do something else? And it was
Wendy May?
Wendy May.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Wendy May.
Wendy May, wherever you are. I think she's in Oregon somewhere. And so I had this incredible opportunity to leave and find out how I learn, which was really remarkable. And so it was that kind of leading up to the Oxbow experience. Art and creativity was a practice, but it was kind of this like I'm different. You know, it was almost this practice of like, I'm on the outside, and then I got to have this experience of like, no, this is a superpower. Like this is magic. And yeah, after Oxbow, it just sort of solidified like, oh, I learn really well. I just need to be able to do it in these specific ways. And have sort of been chasing that ever since. Did I answer your question?
What was the question?
Oh, yeah. Practice.
Practice?
We went on a long journey story.
Yeah.
Remember
that's
how I
great.
said I didn't have a lot to say?
You're doing great. Okay.
Did we circle?
Yeah.
Did we circle back? So you dropped a biggie.
Oops.
You did. Right there.
Right there on the microphone.
There on the microphone.
Kate. Come on
Kate.
now.
So yeah, let's go back in time. Frank.
Go back
We're
in
going back in time.
Great. Oh.
I was gonna fill in.
You mentioned you stopped being able to read music.
Yeah.
Because of some health.
Yeah.
Some health things. What?
Big health thing. I don't know how much of it to tell because it's also a long story. But
Here's
Yeah.
I mean, do you feel like it's a part of your creative journey?
I do.
Let's go there. I mean, because I think it's really important for. I find it fascinating, but I think it's really important for people to hear like just where creativity comes from with people who make it a part of their life seriously, and how just life can make it happen, and seeing those connections right between everyday experiences or just like human experience and creativity, I think is really important. So I mean, share as much as you feel comfortable, but
Sure.
yeah.
Thanks. I like everything you just said. So I went to a liberal art school where I was doing visual art and writing, and then immediately after graduation, like 5 days after graduation, I moved to a farm in Maine because I really wanted to farm with horses, and the kind of agricultural chunk of my young adulthood was really important for my development too. But unfortunately, while I was living in Maine, I got Lyme disease, and I think in the way that I can do things, I got it really seriously. If you can do a good job getting Lyme disease, I showed up for that one in a really big way. My bite site, I found the tick. It was buried in my hair, so it was hanging out for a couple days, which is not ideal. And the only reason I share that is that the shape of the Lyme bacteria is like a corkscrew. So there are a handful of diseases that can cross the blood-brain barrier, including syphilis. And Lyme is one of them. And what they think happened to me is that it being so close to my actual brain and it being able to cross the blood-brain barrier, instead of it taking time to become a really hairy neurological problem, it kind of became that for me almost immediately. I was lucky in that there was never any doubt with what I had. A lot of people struggle with the diagnosis because it comes years after their exposure. I actually don't know where testing is with Lyme disease, but you can get false positives and false negatives. I was just positive across the board. I was tested for a number of other things to make sure I didn't have ALS or MS or all this lupus, So it's funny to say I was lucky, but out the gate, we knew what I had, which is awesome. And unfortunately, it went so deep so fast that it was very hard to manage. And so what that looked like for a number of years was kind of this episodic struggle where I would have kind of very strong Lyme symptoms, and then they would go away, and then they would come back. And that whole time, my sort of baseline health is sort of tanking. And, I'm living in Maine. I'm young. I didn't stop working because I also, I'm a person who grew up in the desert. So I really didn't know. My context for Lyme disease was that one gal on The Real World. Do you remember this? there's one girl, I was so sad because she was just awful. She was so annoying. Bless her. But that was like my framework for what Lyme disease was like that annoying kid on The Real World had it. I did not know what I was up against is another way of saying it. I didn't know how serious it could get. And at one point during those episodic kind of summer after summer of getting sick again and more sick, one of my doctors said, she was like, you should stop working. And I'm on my own. Like, I don't have that. Like, what does that look like? She was like, if you don't stop working, this is going to take twice as long to take care of. It took me probably 2 or 3 years after that conversation to actually stop working.
Wow.
And young and ugh. And she was right. It took me like 10 to 11 years to like work through everything that became. So that's kind of, it's like, that's what it was. I had 3 co-infections on top of it, which are, I think, protozoa.
Not proteolytic.
What is that word?
I'm just pulling words out.
Paleontological.
Paleontological.
Came from dinosaurs.
Tar pit.
Tar pit. I was a tar pit. I was a seeping tar pit. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, that was like the event, and it's such a brutal one. And I also have this weird reverence for the Lyme bacteria. Like, it is so highly specialized. It's intracellular. So it like hangs out in your cells, so your body can't really detect it. And then it comes out to feed on your body. And that's when you have these, that's why like people will describe these like waves of symptoms. It's when it leaves your cells and starts attacking your body, but then it goes back in. Yeah. Which is like, talk about dinosaurs, like, yeah, that bacteria is not going anywhere because it knows how to play.
Yeah, it sounds similar to viruses. I worked for a short time at the zoo in Houston, and this woman that I worked with, she was in school for to get a degree in biology, and her specialty was viruses. She was fascinated with viruses. And I remember young being just mortified, not mortified, terrified, because she told me, well, yeah, viruses can just sit dormant for hundreds of years until the right circumstance, the right things come together, and then they become active.
But do you know what that's also true of?
Tell me.
Seeds,
right? Yes.
Sorry, that may seem random, but like there is this incredible biological potential.
Yes.
Of like latency and like power.
Yes.
And like that's kind of that's like a very long arc, but
mycelium.
Yeah, like
underground, just building their networks, and then boom.
I do think there are these like much longer time scales than we're even capable of understanding of how things work and how things are. Viruses do that. I have Lyme in me that's just hanging out, but it's not giving me a hard time anymore. Yeah. And I also think that there are really nice flowers in the New Mexican desert that are waiting for the next 500-year flood to just like come out and do their thing. Yeah. I don't know what to make of that or if that makes sense, but that's what I thought of when you were describing that. It was like, seeds do that too. It's not all bad.
I don't know why. We could probably find the connection, but I'm going back to your tar pit story, and I feel like there's a connection there to this first imprint of being just totally blown away by the things that get trapped in the tar.
I think lessons for me almost have to be hard learned. How is that a tar pit? Big impressions, something in there, something of like, I can't just like learn a light. Like I was leaving college and a beloved writing professor, I told him, I was like, Brian, I'm going to go work on a horse-powered farm. I'm going to log with horses, all of which I did. And Brian was just not impressed by this. He just kind of blinked at me and he's like, all right, Kate. And he says, you know, you don't have to do a hard thing just for the sake of it being hard, which is true. But for me, for a lot of my life has not been true. I've like,
so maybe for you, that's not true.
I kind of have to do a hard thing.
Yeah.
I did a really hard thing. I was sick for on and off for like 11 years. Anyway.
Well, I also I think that's a nice dovetail into the work that you're showing here. You during that process did like a drawing a day project, right? Do you want to talk about that and what was going on there, and maybe lead that into
what does this have to do with anything? You're much nicer than
everything is connected to everything.
Everything is connected to everything. So in a later chapter of trying to get well, and this one came after believing that I had like, I'm through it, I'm done, I'm healthy, and then gotcha. You know, I ended up like having this very strange, mysterious relapse where I got sick again and I had to go back into treatment. And this is after I had started a farm. I was on my own. I was fully independent again. And then I got sick again. And I do think I had some awareness of like, okay, wow, here again, like full stop again, you know, like hard lesson again, like really, okay, maybe I'm missing something, you know, maybe I haven't learned something, maybe I'm missing something. And it was very hard to leave the farm. It was very hard to move back in with my parents. And I just sort of had this like, there's a working dog quality to me where I just like, I need a job. I need something to do. So I decided that I was just going to make a drawing a day to like give myself something. And it felt like this kind of accountability structure. So small, right? But it felt like, it was a prompt.
It sounds actually incredibly intelligent and wise.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I knew that at the time. I think I was honestly just pretty desperate and like, what am I going to do? I have all this time. And also on the same, you know, in the other hand, like there's not a lot I can do. The treatments are so aggressive. It's like chemo, you know, you get way more sick before you get better. So with a limited capacity, like, how can I spend this time? How can I use this time? Started making a drawing every day, and I did that for something like 740 days or something like that.
So about 2 years.
Yeah. And I don't think I missed a day. I was steadfast. And like some of those drawings are like, you know, I had to take all my little drawing kit like to the hospital because I had to go like have an emergency CT scan, you know? Like I'm like in the ER, like making my little drawing. Okay. That kid, young woman. Or like the day my grandma, you know, it's this incredible catalog of 2 years of experience that is so varied, you know? And immediately when I started making that work, just this cast of characters arrived. The dog, which is, you know, in the show that will hang in, 9 days. But then all of these other kind of archetypal figures who were sort of stand-ins for this vast experience I was having. And I knew something was happening. Like I knew I'd kind of like opened a trap door of some kind. It's just like, wow, all of these things are here and they all want to be interacting with me through these drawings. Like I was aware I was in the presence of like some inspiration coming through. And I also knew that it wasn't as simple as like, I'm just illustrating what's happening, you know? And I don't know what that distinction is. Maybe you can hear it differently, but it wasn't like, I didn't draw a picture of myself in the hospital. Do you know what I mean? There were sort of these stand-in characters and these symbols and all of these colors that were sort of making up this experience that was particular to me, but also blank in a way. Like you could see it and see something else. You could see it and read something else, which is a really interesting line to walk. And I just kept doing it day after day after day. And now there are 7 or 9 sketchbooks, every single page front to back, that's just full of all of, you know, they feel like, some of them feel like complete stories. Some of them I look at now and I'm like, oh, that's the beginning of a story and I have to figure out the rest of it or have to illustrate the rest of it. Some of it feels like the end of the story, you know? It's all this material that I really could work on for the rest of my life and never get through, which is both wonderful and daunting. And then, should I talk about stopping it? Is that useful? And so then I kind of got done with it. I don't know how we are on time either. I needed to stop making that drawing every day. And I do think I had a hope to like push that body of work into a different space. But what I now know is that I actually needed, that work just needed space because I was so attached to its original form, which was the sketchbooks. I took the sketchbooks to New York. I took the sketchbooks to Printed Matter. I took it to independent publishers. I'm just kind of running around like, what is this? What is this? Can it be something? Will you make it into something? And universally, people were like, it is something. This is huge. Like, you have something here. I don't know what it is. And I think I had such a like white knuckle tight grip on it that I couldn't see that it was something outside the sketchbooks. I was very wed to the sketchbooks. COVID happened. I had a baby. A lot, like it rested for a long time.
Like a seed.
Like a seed.
It all comes back.
Well, actually, and this is something I said to Frank in the studio visit, because this work was just kind of like dormant until you saw it in the studio and you asked something. It was a really good question. You asked, like, does it still feel active or something like that? Does that sound like you?
Yeah.
Do you still feel like there's something there? And I hadn't said it until that point, but you know, I was just like, yes, it's all still here. And what I know those sketchbooks are now is a seed. Unfortunately for me and my workload, all of that work is the beginning of all the stuff that comes after. And it's 743 pages of a right? Holy shit. So yeah, I worked on a thing not knowing what I was making, not knowing what it was going to be for 2 years. And now I just have this library of work that I need to like see through and make. And just to put a little bow on it, like, my show is, those characters are there. They're exploring something new. But, you know, they now have they have a venue. That's huge. They have your audience. That's huge. And like, thank you, Frank. But they also, there's an invitation there of like, hey, take these kids to the park, you know, like, let's see what they want to talk about. And I think I both needed space from that practice and that process. And I had something else that was right there. Oh, what I think now about that work is that it was a companion, right? As opposed to being like, as opposed to narrating directly what was happening, it was this thing that came with me alongside that chapter of being sick. And the companioning part is so essential, right? Because I wasn't trying to make it nice. I wasn't trying to fix anything. I was just like, these are happening at the same time. And what I think was happening behind the scenes was that it was an integration process. And I think I've come to understand my work in that way, where it's like, again, going back to the saber-toothed cat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I experience all these things. I have this wild body. I have all these wild senses. And then I kind of need this time and space to like make sense of it. And that is what my creative work is just sort of an integration project process.
Yeah.
As you were just sharing this story, portion of your life, I've been, the past year, myth has been coming in so strong for me. And the myth of Persephone came through.
Is she the pomegranate one?
Yes, she's
Yeah.
the pomegranate one.
Yeah.
She's the one that has to go down into the underworld
Yeah.
every winter
Mm-hmm.
and spend winters underground and then comes back up for spring, right? And it's like the myth of renewal, the myth of seasons. But I'm thinking, you know, that is also tied to illness and death, and that there's something in becoming ill cyclically that has this quality, like of Persephone, of like, now you must go into the underworld and you must, I love how you said they were companions. It's like finding these friends and this, again, I'm going back to the saber tooth and the tar pits, like finding this these surprising beauty and inspiration, like in something so dark.
I think it's all there. I think it's all there in every situation. And this like goes into spiritual practice for me, but you know, that it's all happening all the time. All of that resources available. And like, while I would not wish like that illness, I got pushed pretty far. Like I was one treatment away from being moved into palliative care. Like my organs were failing. It was serious. And I don't wish that for anyone, but there is that liminal space of like, this is acute, this is extreme, where you can have this expansive view of like, and it's all still here. It's not just this singular. I was still able to make art. I was still able to have a creative practice while I was literally like fighting for my life, you know? Like they can all share a room. They can all be at the same table. Excuse me. And I do think there is something in those big explosive moments where like, if you do kind of step back and open your eyes, you can see a bigger picture. You're not allowed. I'm a sympathetic crier. If you start crying, I will start crying. Frank,
You started it.
Frank's fine.
I'll hold the earth over here.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That kind of moment of like, whoa, touching an edge, because it so quickly can become like, it's only the edge. The knife edge is all that's here. I can't, and I think that's maybe more common.
Yeah.
Is to not have a more broad awareness of all the things that are at play. And one like beautiful, fortunate thing about the experience I had is that it brought me to a greater understanding of all the things that are at play.
Yeah.
As opposed to narrowing my focus. You know, I really resisted. People say funny things to you when you're in a hard space. People were like, do you want to join online support group with other people who have the disease that you have? Do you want to, you know? I was like, no, like, no, I maintained, and I maintained that, like, this is happening in my context. And I know that sounds funny. It's happening in me, but it is not me. Lyme can get pretty wild. Like, I was hallucinating. I was seeing things that weren't there. I was hearing things that weren't there. My reality was very crazy. And I always knew, like, this isn't all of it. I haven't just lost my mind, you know?
It's so wild, too, to think about the context of time, like where we are in time and the stories, the narratives that we have about these things, and just thinking about, the story of Joan of Arc. She was seeing God. She was hearing God. She was having these visions. If Joan of Arc had been alive during these times, we might have been like, oh, Joan, you have Lyme's disease, or like you're psychotic. And it's just like that these two narratives like they can be right beside each other. They can be like, Kate has Lyme's disease. She's also having this like dismantling of who she knew herself to be, and this like total transformation, and they're like side by side.
Both things can be true.
Yeah.
You were talking about needing to do things the hard way, and I think that's very true for most of us human beings, about waking up to a greater sense of what's going on here. Like, it usually takes an experience like that. It takes a traumatic experience for us to put being alive into perspective, because we are alive, and every moment that we're alive. And so we take it for granted, right? It's like, I'm conscious, I'm aware, I'm doing things.
You're busy.
I'm busy. And to have that be at risk of being taken away, or a loved one being taken away, we most of the time need that in order to wake up and to be like, oh wow, this is like precious. Like, it's so easy to take for granted, but it can go away so fast, and things can change so fast. And I know that for me, like, those difficult experiences are like, those things that tell me like, oh, I don't want to wait for something like that to wake up. I want to do something on a daily basis that can be like, okay, here I am. I'm alive. I'm conscious. I'm aware. Like, this is a gift, and try to formulate that as like my daily practice,
I think my initiation into that did come pretty young. And I do think that, like, I've been knocking around that lesson, or kind of banging around the room of that lesson for a while. And I don't want it to seem like I like had this experience. I just came out as like, oh, I figured it all out. I'm fine. Like, there was some not graceful stuff that happened in there.
Of course.
I don't have a tissue.
Let me grab that.
But I think part of it being such a drawn out thing for me, I think I'm only just now coming to the meat of like, oh, I can use that. I can, I can turn that into what you're describing, Frank. I think passively it was happening on a certain level, that awareness and that gratitude and that, thank you. I think that was happening passively for a while. And then, I did go through a thing where like there was a lot of shame and guilt around having been sick. And having to not live in the way that other 20-year-olds were living, right? Like my day-to-day looked really, really different. And I think what I realize now is that I did have an over attachment to that part of my history that was rooted in like shame, where I didn't want to share what had happened. And I was kind of holding onto it in this way that I wasn't actually able to use it fully. Because I felt bad about it. Mm-hmm. And now it's just like, whoa, solid gold. You know, like that was, I don't want to call myself lucky. I do think I am lucky to have like, to be healthy, and to be like, have, you know, I do think I can call it wisdom at this point. Like I've learned some stuff, but I've had to own it in a different way. And it's very liberating to just like, that happened. I can talk about it. In front of a microphone. Like really, I can talk about it. Woo!
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of that and being so open to doing that.
Sure.
It's beautiful.
Thanks for receiving it.
Well, I think, you know, people are just going to have to come see the work because you only got like a little grain of sand about what the work looks like. So you're going to have to come see the show. Your opening,
Yes.
I don't know when this is coming out. We just released one yesterday.
Okay.
But the opening is April the 3rd.
Yes.
And it will be on view through April 26th.
Wow.
And yeah, thank you.
Come see it. I feel I'm really excited to share it. It looks great. I'm so happy to be here.
This was so wonderful, Kate.
Do we talk about art enough?
We could
Yeah.
ask a question. I like that.
Do it.
From this, we have a list
Oh,
of like, we called it soft ball.
Or just like quick round kind of questions.
But sometimes they can
yeah.
be longer.
lightning round.
Lightning round.
Or the
Lightning
slow
round.
round.
slow
or-
round.
What's slow? Sloth round.
The sloth round.
So first you pick a number 1 through 10.
Oh, I love this. 7.
That's what Juana picked.
Bring
Okay.
it.
So I already know what this is. What do you do when you get stuck?
What do I do when I get stuck?
What do you do when you get stuck?
I move my body. Yeah, I have a beloved neighbor who's a writer, and he's a great forest walker. And he says, I get a lot of good writing done when he's walking. And I love that. So I move my body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a really active person, and I have a lot of different ways to access that. So I move around and I read and I listen to Dharma talks. Those have a really remarkable way of like getting me out of whatever the stuck space is, just kind of calling back in a more broad perspective of like, what is going on down here? Yeah.
Are you reading anything good right now?
I'm reading the spines of the books that are stacked on my bedside table. I'm really looking forward to reading them. I am reading, what am I reading? This is going to get really dorky. I'm doing some spiritual study reading. I can tell you the name of it if you want.
Do it.
I'm reading Being Upright by Reb Amos.
Yes!
Kara loves that book.
I love that book.
Yes, me too. I'm reading that and reading that again and reading that again. I have One Long River of Song. Did I share that one with you? No. Brian Doyle. Do you know that name?
Mm-hmm.
He wrote Mink River. He died young. He's no longer around, but he same neighbor, the walking neighbor, gave me a collection of his, it's kind of prose and essays, and it's a lot about family, just kind of observations from his immediate life and his childhood. And it's one of those ones that you can kind of open at random and just yummy reading snack. I read a lot of kids' books every day. This morning I read Frederick. Did you read that one? Did you know that one? Oh. It's this family of field mice who live in a rock wall, and 4 of the field mice are constantly, you know, they're getting ready for winter, they're collecting stuff, they're working, and they're like, Frederick, like, why aren't you Frederick's just sitting around. Are you Frederick? Wait for it.
No.
Oh.
I'm just thinking, I'm going back to what you shared about you wanting to continue to work.
Oh.
Why you're sick. But go continue on.
So Frederick, no, I was reading this and I was like, oh, I'm a little bit of Frederick. Frederick's like hanging out and his family's like, what are you doing? And he said, I'm like, the winter's going to be dark. I'm collecting the sun.
Oh.
And they're working. And they say, Frederick, what are you doing? And he's like, we're not going to have a lot to talk about. I'm remembering the colors. And they, Frederick, what are you doing? He has one more. Anyway, they live in the wall and they run out of food and everyone's getting kind of grumpy and cranky. And they remember, like, Frederick was just sitting around this whole time. What's he bringing to the table? And Frederick recites this beautiful poem that he spent all season writing. He's the artist of the family. He's the poet of the family. And what he recalls to them is the warmth of the sunshine and the brightness of the colors in the field and why am I forgetting the third one? Anyway, he has a role to play, but it doesn't look like much. It looks like a lot of sitting around. And I think in my space of like, it's okay to be an artist, Kate. Like, it's okay that this is what you are. It doesn't look like other work a lot of the time.
No.
I'm that little field mouse.
Why would we go through winter unless we know that flowers are on their way?
What does he say? I should have brought it. I could have read you a story. It's something about, like, what would the 4 seasons be if there weren't 4? If there were one less or one more. And they say, why, Frederick, you're a poet. And he says, I know it. The end.
That's a good place to stop. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yay, we did it.